You're watching Ticket TV. Like, share, and subscribe on your way in.
All right, man. Salute everybody for tapping on into this channel. Appreciate all of y'all that's gonna join the stream, man. Like, share, and subscribe as y'all come in, man. And I salute to all of you guys who constantly support the content, man. I had to come to y'all and tell y'all about something because something big just happened. Now we talked about uh, this to a certain extent last year. We talked about this deeply last year, and hopefully you guys remembered uh, this conversation that we had about this man on your screen who have been badly exposed. Now, this guy on your screen, um, his name is Mike Jeffries, right? Um, Hold on, y'all. Let me know if y'all can hear me in the comments. Press one if y'all can hear me. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Let me know. Okay, y'all can hear me. Man, I'm finna tell y'all what happened, man. Shit just got real bad, man. Um, so this guy on your screen, in the middle of the screen, the guy standing in the middle, I told y'all about him last year. Now, when I told y'all about him, I told y'all. Now, remember, he was the ex CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch, right? That clothing company, right? And he basically had allegations with his boyfriend named Matthew Smith. Now, this guy's 81 years old. This old guy. And I'm gonna tell you something, right? And he had another guy who was alleged to be an associate and a recruiter named James Jacobson. Now they operated a sex trafficking. They're alleged of operating a sex trafficking and prostitution enterprise from December of 2008 to March of 2015. Now, y'all gonna want to listen and check this out. What I'm gonna tell y'all happened. So anyways, he was accused of coercing and deceiving and exploiting dozens of young men, right? Many who aspired to be models or were seeking career opportunities in fashion in Abercrombie and Fitch, right? Into practicing and participating in sexual activities, which was at organized what they call sex events in the United States, including New York, the Hamptons, and internationally. They happened in England, France, Italy, Morocco, and St. Bart's, according to the allegations, right? So the three guys, they were arrested and they were charged in a 16-count federal indictment in the Eastern District of New York with one count of sex trafficking and 15 counts of interstate prostitution involving at least 15 alleged victims, all men. Now, the prosecutors alleged that they used Mike Jeffries' wealth, status, and his influence at Abercrombie and Fitch to run an international operation costing millions of dollars, right? So check this out, y'all. He was accused of deceptive recruitment, a referral system, and an interview process, often involving the other guy, Mr. Jacobson, where men were not fully informed about the sexual nature or extent of the events, and some received itineraries resembling modeling photo shoots. And Jacobson allegedly required sexual acts with him as an audition. Now, they had false promises to these dudes and career pressure. So the dudes were led to believe that attending these sex parties could lead to modeling opportunities with Abercrombie and Fitch or career benefits. Non-compliance was implied to harm their prospects. Now, many were financially vulnerable or aspiring models in a competitive industry, right? So basically, they were alleged of using control measures, which would be upon arrival that men were required to relinquish personal items, clothing, wallets, cell phones stored inaccessible, right? And it wasn't accessible to them. So they signed NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, and the staff supervised events. And men were not allowed to leave until Mike Jeffries and his little cronies allegedly decided that these sex sessions were over with. Now, the men were pressured to consume alcohol, drugs, Viagra, lubricant, used condoms, costumes, and used sex toys. Now, on multiple occasions, Mike Jeffries or his buddy, Mr. Smith, or directed staff allegedly injected these men with a prescription grade erection uh, inducing substance, right? In their right in their beefcake. Right in the beefcake, they would inject these guys, allegedly, causing painful hour-long physical reactions to enable sex acts the men were physically incapable or unwilling to perform. Now, y'all listen to this now. So basically, in some instances, Mike Jeffries in the middle of your screen and his buddy Mr. Smith, they were allegedly engaged in non-consensual sexual activity, including invasive sexual and violent contact by body parts or using objects, violating men's bodily integrity when they did not or could not consent, right? Also, the household staff, contractors, and security were allegedly recruited and paid to facilitate, supervise events, provide substances, and maintain the secrecy, right? That basically Mike Jeffries and Mr. Smith allegedly provided the financial resources for this whole thing. Now, prosecutors describe sexual uh, by channels, right? Which involve commercial sex acts with Mike Jeffries, Mr. Smith, and others. Now, Mike Jeffries, he pled not guilty, right? Now, there were reports of him. Now, listen to this, y'all. There were reports of him being diagnosed with dementia and, late onset Alzheimer's, right? Disease, leading to temporary rulings on his, state of competency to stand trial, right? Which he initially was found unfit in some proceedings, but he was it was restored and they said, okay, he's found fit in late 2025, right? So it basically there was an interview. Now listen to this, y'all. This shit is crazy. There was basically an investigation, I should say, by the BBC publication in the UK in 2023, where they interviewed 12 men who described attending and or organizing similar type of events between 2009 and 2015 in New York residences and luxury hotels worldwide. Now, some reported feeling exploited, abused, or pressured. One stating it broke him and stole his innocence. Now, they came out. They're suing the hell out of these guys as well. And basically, they accused Mike Jeffries of preying on these young men who wanted to be the models again, right? So they said that, basically they were scouts and recruiters contacting these men online via referrals, auditioning these dudes, shaving their body hairs, right? Shaving their body hairs head to toe, including they sacks. They were shaving their sacks too, according to the allegations, right? Um, they were also, right, um, wearing pre-selected Abercrombie and Fitch clothing and transport to hotels or residences. Now, they were being taken to private rooms again, pressured to take these drugs, and forced into doing these different sex acts with Mike Jeffries and Mr. Smith, according to the allegations. And there was payments in cash of thousands of dollars afterwards, as well as I told y'all NDAs, right? And so basically, they said that they made them, take it in the booty, give top, forcible touching, insert objects up there, you know what, and all wording about forcible compulsion. These dudes have made these allegations, right? So basically, um, two men, right? Well, basically, by March of 2025, the lawyers had reported that more than 40 men had come forward with claims of all wording, sexual assault, and drugging by Mike Jeffries. Now, separate lawsuits also detailed that two men, Brandon Steele and Joseph Sterling, allegedly assaulted multiple times. They were assaulted after being pressured with illegal narcotics and subjected to having their um, their balls injected. Right? They was putting stuff in the inside their balls, injecting them, right? So two former models, allegedly assaulted and all worded, they were doing a 2011 casting call at the Sita Hotel in Miami, right? While auditioning for the Abercrombie bag photos. Now, one man alleged that Mike Jeffries asked about sex with men for pay and gifts. Then he all worded him after he tried to leave by grabbing him by the waist, right? and penetrating that dude. Another involved questioning about sexuality and interest in straight men, right? So also there were other things that were described as, similar patterns of recruitment by the two guys, him and Jacobson, involving sexual tryouts again, shaving the bodies of these dudes, injecting their beefcakes so that they'll be hard, the whole time, having orgies, male orgies and coercion via career promises and fear of repercussions. Now, some of the victims were teens or in their early 20s, right? And so basically, check this out. So this fool, he almost looked like he was gonna get off because he's 81 years old and he looks like he's falling apart. But apparently he's smarter than what he thought because this happened right there on your screen. As he was trying to argue about, oh, well, I'm not competent, he was caught on prison tape. Let me repeat myself again. This fool got exposed. He was caught on prison tape saying the doctors better find me incompetent. What type of shit is that? Now, according to this report in Business Insider, it says that he was recorded on prison tape last year saying that doctors better find me incompetent. A defense psychologist testified just on Tuesday. And that testimony came as Mike Jeffries sat in a federal courtroom in New York for the start of a 3-day mental competency hearing. Now, Mike Jeffries is 81 years old and he's fighting sex trafficking charges that, allege that while helming the international retail giant, he used wealth and power to abuse dozens of aspiring male models. Now, his lawyers are hoping to prove that he is mentally incompetent to stand trial alongside two co-defendants, long-term romantic partner Matthew Smith, and a third man in their employ. Jury selection is scheduled to start on October the 26th, right? So federal prosecutors maintain that Mike Jeffries is competent and he should stand trial. And there's a conclusion they say is supported by their own doctors and more than 100 of Mike Jeffries' phone calls with his boyfriend, Mr. Smith. Now, the calls were recorded last year during his 4-month stay in a mental health unit of a federal prison in North Carolina. Defense lawyer Brian H. Bieber raised one potentially damaging tape early in this Tuesday's hearing. He asked his first defense experts, is there a tape in which Jeffries is hoping for a good outcome? The witness, Jacqueline C. Valdez, a clinical neuropsychologist, said yes, in reference to the recorded conversation where Mike Jeffries clearly says, you better find me incompetent, in reference to his prison mental health examiners. He was just saying things without a filter, Valdez explained, addressing the U.S. District Court Judge Nurse Rat Chowdhury, right? That's his name. It says it's just another example of the, disinhibited behavior I was talking about earlier, Valdez told the judge. Other examples includes Mike Jeffries using the words like bitch in conversations with prison mental health workers. Valdez said he was repeatedly described as being a little too personal. She told the judge, it happened with me during her examinations of Jeffries earlier this year. She added, he was sometimes jocular, sometimes too personal in his interactions with me. Now, defense lawyers have argued that Mike Jeffries has a 10-year history of severe cognitive impairment from advancing Alzheimer's disease and Lewy body dementia, a progressive neurodegenerative condition. Now, Jeffrey's erratic behavior is symptomatic of illness and could cause him to, quote unquote, blurt out self incriminating statements in front of the judge or prospective jurors, the defense is saying. So on Tuesday, Valdez says Jeffrey's inappropriate behavior is a part of a spectrum of dementia symptoms made worse by the lingering effects of a fall during a trip to South Africa in 2018, 4 years after his retirement. Even before his October 2024 indictment, Jeffries was prone to hallucinations, wandering, delusional thinking, and acting out of his dreams, symptoms she said have been helped somewhat by medication. Smith told her during a 2023 interview that Jeffries was found in a neighbor's yard sitting in his underwear and being unable to move, Valdez said. Now free on a $10 million bail, Jeffries sat quietly at the defense table throughout Tuesday's testimony, his mouth set in a tight frown. He turned his head to look at whoever spoke, and he kept his hands clasped in front of him or fiddled with the pen. Speaking with the others, Jeffrey's strong suit, Valdez told the judge, again referencing the prison tapes. He can converse, she testified. Language abilities are actually his strongest ability. But scans show evidence of brain atrophy and other markers of dementia, she said, and he tests extremely low in memory and comprehension. Last year, he appeared flummoxed when asked to name as many fruits and vegetables as he could. She said, calling his response on the bottom 3% for his age. His recall of a list of 16 words was at the bottom 1% for his age, she said. Federal prosecutors count, counter that in December after his release from 4 months of examination and a treatment at Butner. Their own doctors found Mike Jeffries could understand his charges and assist in his defense. The criteria for competency to stand trial. They plan to call three of their own psych experts to to testify during the hearing and to play sections of last year's prison tape in court. Jeffrey Smith and employee James T. Jacobson have all pled not guilty to sex trafficking and interstate prostitution charges. They face a mandatory minimum sentence of 15 years and as much as life in prison if convicted. I'm gonna tell y'all something. Sick dude, and I'm gonna tell y'all, he don't fool me. He got caught, and at the end of the day, you got your ass caught up. Man, you need to go ahead and sit your ass down, sucker. You got caught up, brother, on a prison phone. They got you talking, dog. So, like I said, they say he in there calling people B words and stuff like that. And he says they better find me incompetent. Okay, well, you're competent enough to say that they better find me incompetent. Okay, buddy, you gonna face trial. And your ass going to, it shouldn't even be can he face trial or not. He should have to face trial. It doesn't matter. He should have to face trial. If he knew how to sign the paperwork to get a bail, think about this. If he knew how to read all that paperwork and sign that paperwork to get a bail, he should be able to stand trial. So he understand everything else except for something that's going on with his case. Man, get the hell out of here, man. Lock these Bammers up, man, and put these fools behind bars if they found guilty, man. Because it's disgusting work, bro. You doing this shit allegedly to these dudes, man. Think about that, y'all. Like, share, subscribe.
Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure y'all click those links below. Subscribe to the podcast show. You can donate support to the channel, Cash App, PayPal, or buy that weight loss formula. All the links are below. Peace.